Okay, that smart grip you just saw has went through a lot of iterations and prototypes, but the sole purpose of it was to answer two major questions we had as coaches. What creates the ultimate connection to the golf club, and how will that help people play better golf? So in this 4-part series, we're going to walk you through exactly what we figured out when we collected all this data and studied all these things that weren't being talked about enough, with why these players were so good and why they had such great connections to the golf club. You're going to hear us talk about what we call the claws, which is when your hand takes this claw-like shape because of the proper kind of extension and curl of your fingertips. This activates like the back parts and the kind of inside parts of your hands. These create like clamps that allow you to connect to your golf club properly. It's what Tiger does, it's what Charlie does, it's what JT does, it's what Rory does, it's what every good player does to control their golf club. So there's a lot of stuff that we've talked about on the podcast, but we really just wanted to create a series where people could start from the beginning, get your claws, understand what the claws are, and then understand the effects of the claws on the swing. Okay, so enjoy the series, and hopefully after this series you feel a little bit more clawlified. Also, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you haven't subscribed yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you do. So let's get into it. So this is part 1 of the Clawlified series. This is creating the claws and connecting them to the club. Enjoy. Okay, we're going to teach you how to create the ultimate connection to your golf club. There's a lot of information out there with how to get the proper grip, but there's some things that we've seen in those videos that aren't being talked about enough, and we've talked about them a lot on the podcast, and during this video we're going to walk you through how to create the perfect connection to your golf club. Jonathan's wearing the GoPro. Yep. He's going to be showing kind of some things from his perspective, right, and we're just going to walk you through like how to create the ultimate connection to the club. We're going to create the claws, which are basically going to be the clamps that allow you to connect to the handle properly.
Exactly.
Okay. So again, think of your golf swing like you're steering a car. The club face is the car, yep, and the handle is the steering wheel.
Exactly.
So get our hands on the steering wheel, steer the car.
Exactly.
So first thing we'll do, we'll just walk you through the claws, what they are, how to create them, and then clamp them on the club.
Yep.
Okay?
So we're going to hold your hands and arms straight out away from your body.
Okay.
Yep. Palm to palm, every finger, basically up against each other. Okay. And then you're going to go thumbs to the sky. There you go. So that's max extension with every finger, okay?
Gotcha.
So from here, we're going to maintain thumbs up, full extension, and we're going to try to basically just flex your fingertips up to your like second knuckle away from each other. There you go. Trying to keep your knuckle pads and your palms though connect. It's important that when you're getting your claws, you're feeling it locking your arms as well as getting your hands locked in.
Gotcha.
Right.
So this basically is like activating like the back parts of my hands,
the under parts of the hands up to the top parts of the hands.
Because when we create the like proper connection to the golf club, one thing we really want to make sure of is that we're activating like the knuckle pads,
yeah,
right? Like those areas right there.
We talk about claw clamps. It's like almost like they're like claw pads for the handle.
Okay,
because
perfect.
You're putting your pads. It's like actually a pad
of your clamp,
a placement against the handle.
I gotcha.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to activate right now. So when
when
we're here, we got our thumbs extended. Mm-hmm. We're palm to palm. We're also pad to pad.
Yeah.
So I'm almost trying to create like a V almost.
Correct.
Like that right there, right?
Yep.
That looks good.
Try to keep your arms straight down.
Right.
There you go, perfect.
Straight out away
yeah,
from the
so
body,
once we
right?
get back straight out away,
yep,
so now we're going to basically take the thumbs, keep the tips of the thumbs up, but you're going to basically clamp the inside parts of the thumbs to the inside parts of your index fingers.
Gotcha. While still keeping the knuckle pad, the pads pushing,
exactly,
which is tough.
To maintain the finger extension.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll feel some strain here for sure.
Yeah. So the last piece
part, yep,
is maintain all those extensions and just curling your fingertips of the 4 fingers.
Gotcha. And then that's what
creates
your
final claws,
so
right.
that looks like a claw. Like you look at like the form of it, and really, I mean, I can feel this. It's almost, and we talk about this a lot in the podcast, where I almost feel like my fingers are being like pulled back
right.
by like rubber bands.
Sure. So think of it this way. If you go back to your, go back to the full finger extension with your pads together. Good.
With the V?
Yep.
Yep.
So try to curl your, 4 fingers. There you go. Now while maintaining the curl, now go to full extension with both wrists, keeping your palms together. So basically flex both wrists away. That's giving you like the maximum claw pressure. And that's one of the trainings we're going to launch eventually is the claw ball.
The claw
and
ball.
That's actually the position it allows you to, start with.
Right, that's
and condition.
tough.
Because it's really with both hands and arms, it's locking that triangle in perfectly. Now when we go to put our hands together, like, against the club, then the angles will turn a little bit, but it's just giving you that feeling of that ultimate claw pressure.
And if you notice too, like when you look at this, look at that triangle that we have.
Perfectly
I mean,
connected, exactly.
but it's more of the effect
Right.
of getting this palm to palm.
Absolutely.
And fingers extended away. And
Right.
now everybody, you look at this and you're like, okay, like I'm not holding a club like this. Like, what do we do? Well,
Right.
all we really do from here is just go boom and boom.
Exactly. Like so,
And
if
then
you
put a
go
club
back
in
to
there.
where you were with the max extension, so his lead wrist is actually for a neutral to strong grip, pretty close to where it needs to be with the amount of extension and rotation already in the hand.
So it'd be like weak, neutral, strong,
Yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah,
We'll
so-
go neutral, strong.
You know,
today,
neutral strong,
but-
exactly. And then with the trail palm, you're basically just trying to match it underneath with planting the trail palm to the lead hand index knuckle.
Gotcha. So basically, like when we're here,
Yeah.
that's the lead hand.
That's
Now
it.
we're going
Right.
whoop, and just kind of
Exactly.
bringing this down,
Yes.
and but still keeping that same like inner pressure, right?
Yes, right.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So now let's put a club in here.
Yeah, perfect. When he goes to put his lead hand on the club, he wants to basically try to get his pinch of his lead thumbprint on the club properly, as well as his lead hand pinky pad.
Got it. So if I had my fingers, so I have my curl like this. If I just went flat out with my fingers, I'm trying to place it like on top like this,
Absolutely.
not like here, see, because then that would be a weak grip. You'd lose all that finger extension. So
right.
pulling those fingers back and then clamping it
here's a
on there.
We got the lead hand thumb fingerprint, and we have the lead hand pinky pad. Those are the two placement points that we want to try to connect to the handle of the club. And
Basically, like
that's at
right-
like 12 o'clock.
Right there.
Yep.
So it's index pad to pinky pad. And it's just
Exactly.
sitting right in that claw. Like this
Exactly.
is why the grip pressure is where it needs to be, because I've got this little like clamp right here. If I clamp it on the club, it's not squeezing.
Right.
For the average people we see like at home, and our students that we've seen over the years, is we call these lobster claws, where they don't have any pinch here.
They have no
or any
curl,
finger
they have no curls or hooks.
Yeah, they have nothing.
See, that's the biggest thing.
Right,
Yeah.
so this is the claw, and this allows you to clamp to the club and get the proper connection while also getting the proper grip pressure. If you don't have this, then again, that's when you start grabbing it too hard, and we see this a lot.
So for some golfers that may not be as flexible,
Yeah.
you know, instead of going like way out here on the tips of the knuckle pads, like Ethan can, because he's got like long fingers and he's flexible. But for, you know, as long as we keep it to this pad right here, we don't
Right.
want to get up into this palm at all.
So it's like neutral to strong, right?
Exactly.
basically?
There's a
Correct.
seam that you have like in your hand, like right,
Right.
here, that
It's
you
like
know, goes
this
just
little,
above
like,
the pad,
area.
and that's where that little area right
Yep,
there is
this
like
is
the,
like
the
your
groove.
round of acceptability.
Absolutely. Yes.
As soon as you get down here, it's like,
Yep. Exactly.
That's when handler starts getting
That's
upset.
what-
And I'm really feel when I do this, a good drill you can do, and we do this a lot with our students, is take your trail hand, and what you're going to do is you're going to try to pull the club head like back at your head while you're pushing those pads like out away from you. And really what you're doing with this is you're just like sinking those pads into that grip.
Yeah,
right? That's such a
exactly.
key thing.
That's
And that
true.
lead thumb placement is so important. Like we talk about this all the time. It's why we went through so much with getting that pinch right, because now you have that fingerprint and being able to
Exactly.
connect to the club properly, right?
Yep.
Because if you don't have that, then it's just hard to have stability and be able to
Right.
follow more of our other videos where we talk about getting the proper takeaway, things like that.
Exactly. Yep.
So, okay, perfect. So let's do trail hand now.
Yeah, so trail
again,
palm,
Let me create
yep.
this again. So,
Yep, there we go.
Okay,
so that basically, position-wise, once he did that rotation underneath a little bit, he's now basically at the perfect spot. So go to fingers straight out with just extension again, back to your little claw, now curl fingertips.
Curl the
Perfect.
fingertips?
Yep.
Yep.
And then just again, once you get that maxed extension in it like this,
Oh, okay. 45
just,
degrees of extension.
yeah, just
right.
rotate it under just a little bit and then bring it on the club. So you're going trail palm again to lead thumb knuckle.
Hmm.
That's where the claw clamps unite.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I like that. That's
And
really
that
cool.
also properly connects your trail, like the trail side of your swing triangle, right?
Right,
to the
right.
lead side.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So you can see how his seams here, like from his trail palm pad all the way to his lead thumb, his lead index finger is like a perfect line. You look at the line he's created also with his trail thumb to index finger, it's also matching. The seams are always matching.
Look at the muscles.
Very
Show
important.
that too.
Yeah,
right?
the claw muscles,
claw
right? He's got the
muscles.
claw muscle here. The other one's hitting because he's smushing it against the
Smushed,
club.
right.
And it's also important that when this trail hand's on the trail side of the club, that you keep a little bit of extension in the trail wrist. You don't want to get to where the trail palm, you might feel like your trail palm is like pushing against the club,
Yep.
but if your trail wrist gets too underneath the club,
Right.
so if you go like underneath like this more, there we go.
Right.
Now he's gonna have the problem with being able to properly like set the trail wrist back
Right.
and create the proper lag. So it actually almost immobilizes
So
what
it
his hands
takes
can do.
it takes the fingers that were once being feeling like they're pulled back with those
Right.
rubber bands
Right.
and puts them into like
And you
that
can go to
position.
extension, but that's kind of tricky.
It's tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So we want
So-
to make sure we get a little bit of that extension.
Perfect. And trail palm,
Exactly.
delete thumb knuckle. We got our little claw muscle. And again, this claw muscle is really just what we kind of talk about when you get that feeling of, and there's a good drill you can do for this. I do this a lot with my students where I'll have them create this like hook right here, and then I'll have them grab like right here and pull this back.
Yeah, to train
to
this
really
claw.
train
Absolutely.
that muscle.
Right.
And that's like a good little like 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
like good rep for it.
Well, and it's like as
into
if you took the club face and you dissect it in half from like the heel to the toe, and basically it's like, here's what your lead hand's controlling, here's the trail hand, just like connecting them together. It's like if you could take the face in 2 segments and then click it down, once you connected your hands, it'd be
That'd be
perfect.
kinda cool.
Yep.
Clamp them together, they unite, and then now
we can get a proper, as we're going to call it, a proper functional unit between the claws and the swing triangle. Because if we can control that unit of connection throughout the swing, that's where we've been talking about how much the body is not as conscious as you think. Well, that's why. It's because we just have to control that unit, and most of it is through the claw pressures and the triangle.
But I mean, the big thing right now is that I just don't really feel like I'm holding the club. Because it's just
you got it in your hooks.
Right, it's in the hooks.
And it's against the knuckle pads.
Right here. It's going to feel like it's just barely in your hands. Because, again, it's just sitting in these hooks here and here.
Exactly.
Right. I'm telling you, we're going to create something where it simulates those, like a rubber band wrapped around the pads and pull those fingers.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because people need to feel that tautness.
We're going to lock a claw ball into like a band system.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it.
And now, there we go. So, again, just a little recap. Let's just do a little recap here just to make sure. So we'll go straight out away, right?
Yep.
We go palm to palm, knuckle pads to knuckle pads, and thumbs up.
4 fingers away from each other with the tips and the thumbs straight up.
Yep, just like that. So we got our V's that we're trying to create. You can see, like, if you look, I mean, we got a V here.
There's a V there. There's actually 2 V's, exactly. Right.
And now from there, we're just going to keep the V's, keep the extension, and we're just going to pinch.
Yep.
And then we're going to curl.
There you go.
And there we go.
Yep.
And now we got the claws. You can see great pinch there, great pinch there. Now the club just sits right in those pinches. And we can just like see, boom, pinky on top of the club, thumb on the top trail side of the club for stability.
Yep.
And now from there, we take this, we'll go trail palm to lead thumb knuckle.
Yep.
Create that like hook feeling right there.
Yep.
So we go trail palm to lead thumb. You really feel how that index finger is actually slightly more down the club than the thumb. Okay, and this is important.
That
We talk
trigger
about that a
finger,
lot
right?
with, like,
Helps with the
Tiger.
pulling and everything in the swing.
You see this a lot with like
more
Rory,
leverage.
Tiger, a lot of good pros. I mean, and you also got that little muscle.
Exactly, right.
So flex those claw muscles. That's going to help you so much, though. These are just kind of like secrets. Like you watch all the tour players; they're all doing this.
Yes.
Like they all, like you watch when I was watching the match. You watch Justin Thomas. He's got this like. He's got his thumb and his forefinger
They all
like
start
this,
like this, and then
then
they all clamp it down. They all do
clamp
it with the trail hand.
Exactly.
Everybody's doing it.
Everybody's doing it. It's hidden in plain sight.
And all this is just basically, again, just proper pinches and hooks.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yep. So, all right, cool. Those are just like kind of the key foundational pieces to getting the proper connection to the club. Now, once you have that, now you can move on to further steps where we're going to teach you how to get the proper takeaway, proper transition to the top, how to maintain that. Because once you get the hands on the steering wheel, you got to steer the car.